Okay.
It says nothing about being able to understand you.
Exactly, yes. Thank you. I feel so much more confident.
So that's one
But
place.
yeah, you can play, like, if it's the bear, like, it roars ferociously and fills you with confidence.
Yeah.
Or rhythmically stamps its paws on the ground, or...
Damn, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that a
Right?
lot. So
Or it roars green sleeves.
Oh, that's making it worse. Stop.
Welcome to Monsters and Multiclass, your weekly Dungeons and Dragons fix. I'm Kevin Odie,
I'm Jared Bornagle.
And I'm Will Milton.
and we'll be hanging out with you for the next hour to talk about anything and everything D&D related. This week we're taking a look at the Bard, Druid multiclass, and then later on the Abishai from Mordekainen's Tome of Foes. So pull up a chair and stick around for a while.
All right, so our two classes this week are the Druid and the Bard. Druids are full spellcasters, with their main focus being their wild shape and their close attunement with nature, whereas Bards are also full spellcasters, but they pull their magic from music and storytelling and just the fabric of reality. So first thing right off the bat, these two, as I said, full spellcasters, Druid uses Wisdom, and Bards use Charisma. Those are also the two stats that they need in order to even start multiclassing with them. So, Kevin, first thoughts?
This is a rough one to kind of, I think, conceptualize it and come up with a strong opinion, to be honest. I know that's like what we do here.
I'm just not of the authority to make strong opinions on this.
But this is one I would need to see in action. There's so much variability between vastly different spell lists, both using different spellcasting and ability modifiers, very different abilities and all that. Very, very little of it, like, I feel like mesh together, but they don't exactly step on each other or take away from one another. So I don't know. It's tough. I don't have a strong opinion on it right now, so I'm curious to definitely talk about it.
Okay, it's definitely a weird one. Will, thoughts?
So with this particular combination, I think is very going to be damage light. If you look at these spell lists, especially, you've got a lot of support going on, and the damage from both these classes comes kind of from focusing on said classes' main things, which you're going to get away from with multiclassing. So I think this probably has more potential as a support caster than it does, any other kind of combination.
Right. And I think one of the things that always comes up when we deal with two full spellcasters is when they have different abilities, it just makes things kind of awkward when it comes to casting. Because now your Bard spells are going to be tied to your Charisma score, whereas your Druid spells are going to be tied to your Wisdom score. And it can just really make it tough to be a force as a spellcaster to not be able to get that up as high as you want for absolutely everything. So it kind of makes you focus on, like, your Bard spells are ones that might stray away from being save based, or maybe the other way around.
Yeah, I would do it the other way around.
Yeah, probably best. Yeah. So you keep your Wisdom low, and you've got your Druid spells that might be more focused on healing and helping out your other fellow PCs, where your Bard spells might be trying to deal more with that battlefield control. And I say they're both kind of
buffs.
Yeah. They're both battlefield control, but in different ways. Druids are more focused on changing the shape of terrain and kind of just like areas, whereas Bard spells are more focused on like specific people. So they're kind of fitting the same niche when it comes to spellcasting. I feel like in that they step on each other a little bit, just because they fill the same role to an extent.
Well, they can. I guess that's kind of one of the beauty of the Bards, is they could kind of fill whatever roles needed. Right. I think they really, really excel at the battlefield support role, but they could still get up in the fray and do damage and stuff like that as well. They could be healers.
Yeah. You say it's, as you said, where it's just weird. When it comes to flavor wise, I've got basically nothing. It's a Bard who really loves nature. or a druid who loves to tell stories.
Oh, that's really, really weak. And like, honestly, I don't have much better.
So, I mean, it's broad, and it's not particularly in a bad way. I, again, don't think they step on each other there. They're not counter classes, but it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll give it to you.
Ooh. How about the scroll of a mandolin, but it's like a living piece of wood, so it's got live leaves on it. Ooh.
That actually, I know that you're being partially sarcastic, but that does work towards flavoring your character.
Yeah, that's good, right?
Where it's like, yes, I made this mandolin myself, and it reflects my personality, and it's got leaves on it.
And it's still alive.
I don't know
living mandolin.
Where are you getting the alive part from?
I don't know, druid stuff.
Yeah, okay. You're keeping it alive through druid magic.
You have to water your mandolin.
All right, here's a thought. Druid who's tasked with protecting an area of the wilderness. That area of the wilderness is full of like ancient ruins and stuff like that, which they delve into and find ancient secrets and hidden forbidden knowledge, which is very much in the realm of a lore bard.
Right.
And then that could a land druid and a lore bard. I think could be a lot of spell versatility there, because so a lore bard they get a lot of good spells, and then there's a lot of overlap with wizard lists and all that. Then they get their magical secrets at 6th and 10th and
14th.
I think it comes up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Where they could grab spells from any spell list, and then you have the druid aspect, and the druid has a very unique spell list. It really only overlaps with the ranger. So then you have all the access to all those druid spells as well. So doing like 10 and 10 in each could get you a whole bunch of spells.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely gets you a lot of spell versatility.
Yeah.
But then, as I was saying, you kind of run into that issue of, are you going to be great as a spellcaster in either of them, or are you going to be a mediocre spellcaster for both of them? I'll always be the first to argue that the difference between a +1 and a +2 is not enough to ever make you make a decision. They're really not that huge. It always comes down to a dice roll at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to spellcasters, that the amount of times where a save DC being a little bit higher just comes up more often. It's not like when you're making a melee attack and there's always going to be 2 attacks per turn. When you're a spellcaster, you might do an AoE and you're hitting 6 things. And if everything can beat your DC of 13, you were completely worthless this turn. And that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just looking at the College of Lore. They only get additional magical secrets at 6th level. Beyond that, just all bards get something at 10th.
Right.
So yeah, they're a little bit separate, and they don't get anything at 14th for that.
I think bards do. Yeah, so there's the additional magical secrets at 6, and then at 10, all bards get it. And then
14, they do get magical secrets.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, so 10th and 14th.
18 too, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't think the lore college is bad, but is it really worth it just for the sake of getting it at 6th level as well? I guess when it comes to multiclassing, it is, because you're getting it potentially twice instead of only once if you go up to 10.
Right. So you could just go to 6 and have it.
Right.
But then also you get bonus proficiency, so 3 proficiencies in skill, cutting words, where you could, as a reaction, spend a bardic inspiration die to lower someone's attack or damage.
And then the real question is, what are you losing by choosing College of Lore? In this situation, none of them are particularly enticing.
Right.
You can do them if you'd like, but they're not going to exactly mesh perfectly with your druid.
Unless you treat it like we were talking about with the Ranger Druid, where you treat it as more of just like a dip for the flavor of doing the wild shape. Because Druids, you only have to go 2 levels into, and you can get wild shape twice per day. And now you can turn into a rat or a squirrel, and that's really useful. That's good. I wish I could do that twice per day.
Yeah.
They also get.
You wouldn't be able to do it for long, though.
No.
Okay.
Well, it's based off of your wisdom modifier.
No, druid level, isn't it?
Mm.
I think like half your druid level or something.
Something like that. I don't know.
Somebody look that up while I continue talking.
Okay.
Where Bard is
half your druid level.
Half your druid level. So, I mean, an hour is not bad.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, then you can get your Circle of the Shepherd, or whatever. I mean, I like Circle of the Shepherd in general, but Circle of the Moon, if you're only going 2 levels into, it's just a total waste. because the point of Circle of the Moon is that you are going to wild shape as much as possible.
Yeah, and that scales with your Druid level.
Exactly. So any of the other ones all give you some pretty decent benefits. I kind of worry that Circle of the Dreams with only a 2-level dip doesn't get you as much as Circle of the Shepherd. Circle of the Dreams gives you the pool of D6 based on your Druid level for healing. So you can get 2d6 healing, which isn't that much.
Right.
Whereas the Bear Spirit Aura from Circle of the Shepherds gets you 5 plus your Druid level for all of the creatures in an area. Temp HP recharges on a short rest. So if you're going to do a 2-level dip, I would definitely recommend Shepherd over Dreams. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, they both scale level-wise, but one of them scales a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to go 10 levels in Circle of the Dreams, that just keeps getting better because now you're getting 10d6 that you can use whenever you want on as many groups as you want. Whereas Circle of the Shepherd, it's just going to be 5 plus 10. So it's like really big up front, but doesn't scale as well compared to Circle of the Dreams, which is smaller up front, scales really well.
It's, I don't know. A dip's not really selling me that well either.
It's mostly for flavor.
2 levels to be able to change into basically a cat, you know. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
just,
Out of combat usage, but
Right, that's going to be the main focus. Do they get anything at first level? They learn Druidic and they get spellcasting.
yeah. So flip it the other way. You're a Druid who dips in the Bard. Bards get a lot.
Mm-hmm. I always do.
Yeah, first level, you're spellcasting, and then you already get Bardic Inspiration.
Right. Which is pretty good right out the gates.
Yeah, I mean, it's a D6.
Mhm.
That's good. Second level, Jack of all trades. So you add half your proficiency bonus to anything you're not proficient in. And that will scale. You don't need more Bard levels for that to scale, because that scales with your proficiency bonus, which is on character level.
Correct.
Song of Rest, which is really... Yeah.
On a short rest, everybody gets a D6 in healing.
Additional, yeah.
It's
Not bad.
It's free, man.
Yeah, hey, it's,
Yeah.
Free's free. And access to the first level of Bard spells,
Right.
which is very wide
Yeah. And then the expertise.
at third level.
Yeah, third level. And the first thing of your Bard College. So if you go lore, you get cutting words and plus the 3 proficiencies.
Right. I think
Which is solid.
most of the Bard things are really good at third level. College of Swords, which we've talked about extensively, is a fantastic subclass and does work with Wild Shape.
Right, yeah.
So College of Swords will get you at third level, get you a fighting style, which you would be basically ignoring.
If you're wild shaped, yeah.
Yep, if you're wild shaped. But it gets you your Blade Flourish, which is just
Really
when you
nice.
take the attack action, you can increase your walking speed by 10, which is great. And if you hit with the weapon attack, you can choose a Blade Flourish and expend one of your Bardic Inspiration die to add some damage and do some cool stuff like raise your AC, attack another creature next to you, or I think you can kind of dash away. Mobile Flourish.
Basically.
Yeah,
You
deals
can
extra
push
damage.
them away and then...
Thank you. Yeah, you push the target up to 5 feet away from you, plus a number of feet equal to the number you roll on that die. Which brings up one interesting thing, totally separate from this multi-class. How do you deal with a grid system, which we use for combat, when you roll something like a 4 and like those odd numbers in between? So you're rolling like, let's say, I think it's a D6 to start. So you roll a D6 and then they get a 6. Do you just move them 5? Is 4, 5, and 6 all the exact same? Do you treat 6 as 10 feet? Like, that becomes kind of weird, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I always hate that when it's not just in strict increments of 5, because it just makes it a little odd.
Part of me leans towards whatever square you're in.
Right.
Because each square is divided into 5 things. You know, if you're in that square, you're in that square.
So essentially you round.
Right. So then Mobile Flourish has the ability to either move you the 5 feet plus 1 on a 1 on your roll, which will then put you into a second square. So you're moving them 10 feet. Or if you roll a 6, then you're going to move them 3 squares, because that's 11 total, which would put them into the next threshold.
Well, I guess I see, like, if you're looking at the grid, it's... So when you hit the line, that's 5 feet. So from, like, this line to this line is 5 feet. So if they're, like, standing right here in the middle of the square and they're pushed 5 feet, they're there. And so then if it's an additional foot of 6 feet, they're still in that square, so then they're in that square. So essentially you round it based on 2.5 feet. So then if they're at 7.5 feet, I guess since it's 5, it always goes up, then they're in the next square over. If they're at 8 feet, 9 feet, again, they've crossed that line in their next square over. If it's under 7.5, they stay in the one they're in.
All right, so to simplify this for me, you're saying that it's basically either going to be they roll 1 through 3, or 1 through 2, because you said 2.5 would be the threshold.
Right.
1 and 2, they only move 5 feet.
Right.
Over that, they move the 10 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
It just, as I said, I hate that because when it comes up, it just causes confusion compared to it being really simple. Theater of Mind, I guess it still kind of works. I've never really had a Theater of Mind campaign, but I think it would be even harder to think about it in 1 or 2 foot increments.
Right.
So,
Like, yeah, what's the significance of that when it's a foot further?
exactly. So,
Is it still adjacent?
I don't know. It causes too many questions for me. At 6th level, you get an extra attack in College of Swords. So that does not supersede the wild shape multi-attack, which if you're going Circle of the Moon, most things at higher levels get multi-attack, I believe. I know that it, like, you know, your 1/4 and half challenge rating things are really not going to get much attacks at all. But if you are trying to do a Circle of the Moon, it might be a little bit awkward to waste getting up to 6th level as a bard with the College of Swords. But that 3 level dip is really useful.
Mm-hmm.
I say the start of bard is just great, as you already went through.
Right.
You're trying to figure something out.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard because I think a lot of the Druid combos, you want it to go well with Wild Shape and the Moon in general. But with these caster combos, it's probably not the way to play it.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's like Circle of the Moon. I feel like it barely keeps up as is. Like if you're just 100% Druid all the way to 20, it's like it's barely keeping up. The lane at all kind of makes like, yeah, that's just not worth it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't cast spells when you're in there, so all those cool nifty bard spells you get just...
Yeah, the
Not
only
gonna
one
use
so
them,
far
yeah.
that we have said really does layer over is with the Paladin, because you can still smite.
The
Right.
Barbarian, too. You know,
Yeah.
Right. Things that don't require spellcasting.
Yeah.
What's underneath the
I love
animal
Druid
is
Barbarian.
very important. You know, when you
Yeah.
bust through the scary bear, there's now a scary barbarian.
Yes.
As opposed to there's just a half bard, like, oh,
Yeah.
who needs inspiration?
Me, I need it. Giving it to yourself. I could see at 5th level for Bard is pretty useful. You get Font of Inspiration, which lets you get your Bardic Inspiration die back on a short or long rest. I don't see any reason why you can't give Inspiration while you're in your Druid shape. Do you need to be able to play your instrument?
No, definitely. Bard doesn't even have to play an instrument.
Yeah,
That's like a, kind of a default type
yeah.
flavor, but yeah, I was looking into that. It says the creature needs to be able to hear you.
Okay.
It says nothing about being able to understand you.
exactly. Yes, thank you. I feel so much more confident.
So that's one
But
place.
yeah, you could play, like, if it's the bear, yeah, like, it roars ferociously and fills you with confidence.
Yeah.
Or rhythmically stamps its paws on the ground, or...
Damn, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that
Right.
a lot. So
Or it roars green sleeves.
Oh, that's making it worse. Stop.
That was cutting words.
Oh,
hard to tell the difference.
Which I'm pretty sure it can do as well.
It can cast cutting words?
No, cutting words is the lore bard use of bardic inspiration.
Oh,
Where
right.
you could subtract it from an enemy's
Correct.
attack rolls
roll.
and damage. And I think it has the exact same stipulations. They need to be able to hear you. That's it. It
Okay.
says nothing about understand you.
Okay, so that's good. That makes a few
he's
level.
absolutely right. Words or music or horrible animal noises. It really just matters if they can hear you.
I think in the fluff somewhere of bardic inspiration, like it gives the example of rhythmically hitting their metal chest plate
Right.
or something.
Right.
Yeah, it's...
Which, I mean, to be honest, that's like such a confidence move that I would feel inspired by that. If we were like fighting something and my bud just started like pounding his chest, and he's like, "Let's
Like the Wolf of
fucking
Wall Street
go!"
style.
Right? You're like, "Yeah,
Yeah, I
we're
can get
fine."
a D6 out of that.
Why do we let you play a bard?
Yeah, that's a funny fun fact that we always mention. Kevin has never played a class other than bard.
It's not true.
remotely true.
It's not true. Oh,
We have
poor,
talked about it before. Bard is my favorite class.
poor Kevin.
I am not.
What is your favorite class, Jared? Because everybody knows I'm like a warlock.
We've
fan.
actually had this conversation
I know,
before.
but I can't remember.
It's
You-
a
did you-
paladin. So far. See,
Yeah,
I don't know. I want to play everything, but I haven't yet. But when it comes down to it, paladins are really cool because I can just do buttloads of damage in one turn and just always feel useful. I don't think I've had a single turn where I'm like, oh man, I suck. Because it's like, well, what do I want to do? A crap load of damage. Boom.
Till you miss.
Till I miss. But
Till you
that's every single class
Right.
ever. Wizards are so useful. Yeah, until your whole person fails. Okay. Yeah, I guess.
Until you don't do the thing you wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, I guess. Man.
Until you remember that you're playing D&D, not a video game. Aw, I hate when that realization comes up that I'm not just the hero.
Yeah.
I can also be murdered at any time.
Damn dice rolls.
I'm just waiting for Out of the Abyss to really kick up in difficulty. I don't know how you're going to do it. It gets tough at high levels, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to feel the pinch where it's like, okay, what can I throw at them that's actually going to be difficult but not unfair?
Yeah, you kind of get this. You hit this weird point of balancing where, like, so there's obviously higher challenge rating things to throw. I was like, oh yeah, let's just keep bumping that up because it'll be a challenge. But then their damage doesn't seem to scale linearly. It's just like really jumps up. It's like, all right, health wise, that's where I want it to be, where they're not just gonna devastate it in 2 terms, but it could one shot the entire party.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh well. But then that's where you just kind of modify
Yeah,
things.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see.
I'm not worried.
Now that we're finally level 8, it's been months. I almost am going to miss level 7. I feel like it was actually a really good level to like just coast on for a while. We all got to really learn our characters and become like very, very good with the resources we had.
Right.
So that was fun. Whereas a level 7 bard druid is not going to have that sweet spot.
Yeah, that's the hilarious irony of this entire podcast is we spend so much time on like level 7, like, oh, it's been months, but then we talk about like, here's the level 15 through 17 general approach to your druid bard. Very niche kind of thing, but it is still something to talk about.
I think there's very few classes that are going to really excel in multi-classing before you hit the double digits. I think it's a lot of setup until then. Even right now, I'm dealing with the paladin and I'm trying to go into fighter as a multi-class. We're not going to talk about that too much because I'm sure one day we'll have a paladin fighter.
We've already done that.
We didn't do that.
I'm pretty sure we did.
We didn't.
I thought the last one we did, we'd already done.
You're losing your mind.
We don't even know anymore.
It's unimportant. Regardless, it's like I'm now reaching level 8 and I can start working my way towards that multi-class. Because if I did it any earlier, I'd be missing out on really good paladin stuff. And, it's a different type of balance.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that very few combos, like you said, deliver a whole lot up front.
Mm-hmm.
And we do actually cover that pretty well. Bardic Inspiration is one of those things. When you get it, it does change the way you play the game
Right.
out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a good example. Fighters, too. You get all these cool equipment things in a fighting style. But, yeah. I think going Druid, like Druids, you don't get much till level 2 if you're going into it. Anything that's going to change combat, at least.
But that's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but I think one of the things that gets frustrating with it is I can see it not feeling great when you take your level up and you just get some new weird stuff that doesn't really change how you play.
You think it doesn't change it up at all when you take 2 in
One
Druid?
level in Druid? No, I'm talking one level in Druid.
One level in Druid. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because a level up is an event, and it almost feels like you're just like kind of...
You're raising your spell casting level, which is something. Yeah. I mean, unless you're at... No, I mean, it's just not that interesting, to be honest. Yeah, which isn't bad. There are a lot of spell casting levels where all you're getting is slots.
And more spells known.
And more spells now, which you would get as a druid as well. You're also taking away your ability to wear metal armor, which...
That's a case against College of Swords, where you get your medium armor.
Yep.
So that's worth noticing.
Though isn't there some hide medium armor?
No, there's conversations like you can have scale mail made out of dragon bone, but that's up to your DM. You know?
Right, basically.
Generally speaking, you're just losing about 2 AC points off the top of your possible AC. I don't know.
I would like to say I double-checked. We did not do a paladin fighter yet.
Okay.
So
That's probably going to be a short one.
this is awesome. That's it. End of story. Let me tell you about Galatea, the hero of Blingdenstone. Oh boy. So what do we got with this then? I mean, are there any subclasses
this
that
is
are
a
like
very wide spell pool. If you go, especially the lore and the moon and all that stuff, you get
Land, yeah.
land.
Land, yeah.
Land. I always mix those up. But if you go those two, you really have a scary amount of things you can pick, which can be good, but it's, you can't cast every spell every round.
right?
So, your average round might not be that great, but you do have a lot of stuff you can do.
Yeah. So then I would say this is one of those classes that could be dangerous in the hands of somebody who really loves diving into spells and figuring out what is the best thing to use right now, even more so than a regular wizard, because now you're just across so many spectrums with Druid and Bard, and then on top of Bard, you get literally every spell ever to choose from.
That's the mechanic.
Yeah.
You get all of them, just all the spells.
No, that's Wish. We already talked about that. But no, I mean, you can just choose from a lot. And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound not fun. It's just more that the flavor is doing so little for me that I can't see any reason I would ever want to play this.
Yeah. Here's a thought, though. If Druids are the only one that gets this cantrip, Shillelagh.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, where
You
they
wanna
can
go over it?
imbue like a club or a piece of wood or something with magical powers, and then it's a cantrip. When they attack with it, they could use their spellcasting and ability modifier for the attack rolls and damage. And the damage die becomes a D8. And it's also considered magical.
Okay.
So you use that, and then that's how you could go into like utilize College of Valor or College of Swords, Bard or something like that. So you're always kind of using the Shillelagh,
Okay.
and then
It's kind of more flavor than anything.
No, it's got mechanics.
Is there any reason why I guess so you don't have to focus on decks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you could just not worry about.
That makes it better, because that is actually one thing that has not been brought up yet, is the fact that normally bards attack with dexterity.
Right.
I guess you could do a strength bard, but not in this case. I'm just
Right.
in general, like there's no reason against doing a strength bard. I've just literally never heard anyone choose that. But this would make it so you don't have to focus on dex. You can just do wisdom and charisma,
Right.
which is good.
Yeah. And then you would, in addition to, you do one level in Druid still, so you get that cantrip, a couple others, some other Druid spells as well.
I think
But not wild shape.
No.
You only get that at second level.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go into Druid unless you're doing at least 2.
Can't you get? I think you can get Shillelagh from one of the feats, right? Magic Initiated or something.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah.
The Shillelagh is a big one for weird multi-classes, and how do I put a melee weapon in the hands of my caster? Shillelagh is almost always your answer. Warlock Hexblades originally were kind of built around that before it became a real subclass.
Oh, okay.
So that one comes up a lot. It's an interesting one. Could work. But that's limited to a club, right?
No,
it's
it's quarterstaff too.
It says
It's a stick. As long as you got a stick, you're good.
the wood of a club or quarterstaff you're holding. Okay.
So you're the College of Swords, and your professor's just like, "What are you doing?" It's like, man, I can't catch Lele on a sword, man. I gotta use the club.
What about a wooden sword?
Oh, that would be flavorful, Kevin.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess.
Go with Druid. Or just go Valor.
Or just go Druid or just go Bard. I don't know. I don't love it. I really don't.
Yeah, we're kind of stretching here. That's
It feels like a stretch.
yeah, like the Shillelagh. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not terrible, but it's not my favorite.
I'm going to look at College of Whispers and magically come up with something. Make your weapon attacks magically toxic to a creature's mind. You can expend a Bardic Inspiration die to do 2d6 psychic damage with a weapon attack. It's just not bad.
You could do that as a bear.
You could also just do 2d6 damage as a bear.
That's what we kind of come back to every time there's a druid multiclass. Like, well, all right, so here's this ability, and you could do it as a bear now. We're level 20.
Doing psychic damage as a bear is fun.
Yeah.
It's not that fun.
It's not as fun as being a level 20 druid, that's for sure.
No.
All right.
That's what I got.
Well, this is one of those not great ones.
Yeah, one of those short ones.
I think that's it. I mean, I'll open the floor up to fighting back on this one. If anybody has a good combination of Druid Bard, feel free to let us know at monsters_multi on Twitter. It's where you can find us and discuss D&D things with us, as well as other amounts of things. Leave us reviews on iTunes and anywhere else you can leave reviews. And beyond that, I think we're done with this one. Let's close the book on it and move on to our Monster of the Week. Thanks, everyone. Monster of the Week time.
Yeah, it's just a weird. Like I feel like we should be able to figure out something that should work with it, but
Well, you know
Just
how,
comes down to spells.
You know how I am about flavor, and I really just don't like that flavor.
I don't either.
My one idea wasn't that bad about the druid was protecting an area of the wilderness and discovers a bunch of ancient runes in there.
It's not good.
It's not bad. It's not.
Like,
It's
I don't wanna
just
be a dick, it's just not
it's
good.
something that I would say it feels like a justification. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel like something that actually makes for an interesting character.
I didn't even bring this one up, but my phone it in justification was protecting the forest in the modern sense, where you have to be entertaining at the park.
the fucking, what is it called? Troubadour. The troubadour who just wanders the park singing. We love our trees.
He's just a glorified tour guide.
We love our friends.
Don't throw your straws in the pond because our friends are there. He just uses magic words to convince people not to ruin the state park. And that's not good. That's not a good character to save the day.
No, it's
Maybe
not. But
forest,
we should
but
expand
not
on
the
that
day.
song because that was a good song.
The Druid Bard song. Barely. Like almost crying while we're singing it.
I am a druid. I
We
am
can
a
justify
bard.
this.
Maybe one day I'll be mechanically viable. This week, our monster is the Abishai. Agents of Tiamat. They are once mortal. All of them start off as mortal and earn Tiamat's favor before death. And the reward is to be transformed into a terrifying devil that really transcends the normal hierarchy that the Nine Hells establish. And they're just viewed as emissaries of doom. They carry out Tiamat's will and can only really be superseded by Asmodeus himself. So they do, it mentions, has the ability to work for other devil lords, but normally they stray away from it just because you never know. Is this thing really answering to Tiamat? Is it really answering to Asmodeus? And they're very established in the lawful ideals of the Nine Hells, as they're just absolutely terrifying things. So there's a couple different colors of them, so they come in different shapes and sizes. We've got black, blue, red, white, and green. So I think we're going to go through
the chromatic dragons.
Exactly. And I think we're going to go ahead and go through all of them because we got a whole bunch. Where do we start? There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a whole lot.
There's a lot to unpack.
I like that how it. Well, I'm stealing your words from earlier off air. It runs the gamut of the challenge rating.
Yeah, it definitely does. One thing that I noticed is we played Horde of the Dragon Queen, which is entirely centered around fighting Tiamat. These did not come up once.
Nope.
Of course, this was before Mordekainen's Tome of Foes came out, which these are in. But these would have been fantastic additions to that type of campaign.
We've said this on air. We are not fans of the Rise of Dragons campaigns.
No. Those, and I don't think anyone is. I don't think Wizards of the Coast is.
This is actually a great example. This is a pretty major spoiler. If you were playing, what was it? The Rise of Tiamat. This is the very
and
end.
Horde of the Dragon Queen. Those are the two.
End of the Rise of Tiamat. So if you're playing this, close your ears or start a new campaign. That would be my advice. But it specifically goes into the cult of the dragon is torn apart by Tiamat for like 3 rounds while you get to prepare for an impossible boss fight. And it's like sadistically like, haha, they were betrayed and they get nothing. That's DM knowledge. It should have implied that they became Abishai.
Yeah, that would be a great way to play it.
That's how you become an Abishai.
Right.
They portrayed Tiamat wrong in Tiamat's campaign.
No, you're totally right, because it even says like they've earned Tiamat's favor. What earns Tiamat's favor more as a mortal than raising her from her prison? I mean,
Exactly.
That's pretty extreme. So, all right, to actually get into the mechanics a little bit, let's start off with the Black Abishai.
Let's go alphabetically here.
Sure. So Black Abishai, its main focus is darkness, which differs from, are there black chromatic dragons?
Yeah.
There are?
Acid.
Yeah.
I don't consider those chromatic. Chromatic
Yeah.
is usually like the gold.
No, that's metallic.
Metallic, man.
You got him.
You are totally right.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. I'm not an expert. Don't trust my opinion. Okay. No, you're right. So Black Abishai, main focus is darkness, but it doesn't really dive into the acid that black
Yeah.
dragons normally have.
They're immune to acid.
They're immune to it.
That's about the end of it.
Right. But beyond that, they feel more like just the shadow steppers of the Abishai.
Yeah, they're kind of all like that, really. I don't think they are supposed to quite line up with their kind of counterpart.
Well, look at the subtext under the names. They are medium fiends, parentheses, devils. They're
Right.
not dragons.
Yeah.
You're right.
So that's an interesting thing to remember while you're looking at them. They only have kind of a faint resemblance to their chromatic pasts.
Right.
Right. So this one is a challenge rating 7, which is kind of in the medium range of these guys. All of them really have the same type of attacks, which is multi-attack. They can make 2 scimitar attacks and a bite attack. I think really all of them have that. This one's main thing is its shadow stealth. So while in dim light or darkness, the Abishai can take the hide action as a bonus action, as well as creeping darkness, which is a recharge of 6. It can cast darkness within a point within 120 feet, no components, and it can move around that darkness as a bonus action up to 60 feet. So it's really its main thing is the fact that it can kind of just move around the battlefield and give disadvantage to everybody. It's got devil sight
Yes,
like
it can
all
see in
devils
the
do,
darkness,
so
yeah.
it can see in the dark. It's giving your PCs disadvantage on everything while it's getting advantage on everything. And has the ability to just outright hide as a bonus action so that, nobody can even attack it that
Right.
round.
Yeah, and it has magical resistance. And also, actually, the one other connection to its chromatic, draconic origins, whatever. For all of them, they have a bite attack that does that type of damage.
Oh, right.
So it's a bite attack. It's
2d8 acid damage.
yeah, yep.
In
Not
addition,
exactly a breath
and-
weapon, but
No,
It's still-
It's the connection.
it's the flavor.
right.
This guy can put out damage, but he's got 58 health, 15 armor. This is a guy you can really melt very quickly, but
Yeah, that was my thought.
decent assassin that's going to probably foreshadow worse things coming.
See, I don't think he does that much damage. 1d6 plus 3 slashing for his scimitar.
Yeah, it's
And he
like
can attack
questionable.
twice. Yeah. But it seems, everything about it seems low for challenge rating 7. 58 health. Think about it, like a level 5 party. And this thing has 58 health. It's just going to burn through it. 15 AC.
Think of how hard it is to hit, though. Again, with that darkness up and it being able to just move around it, again, giving disadvantage to basically everyone, it's magical darkness. So it can, even people with dark vision cannot see through the
That's
darkness
true.
spell.
Yeah.
So you're giving disadvantage to really everybody. And then it, again, has the ability to hide as a bonus action.
Yeah, I guess this needs to be... Yeah, it needs to be an ambush enemy.
Right.
Yeah,
As an ambush
you're not going to
enemy-
run into this guy in an open sunny field.
Right. It's going to come at you in between a short or long rest and just cause you a whole bunch of problems as the entire area is shrouded in darkness and it just pops in and starts slashing people up.
Or walking through the Underdark.
Or walking through the under. Oh, no. You got no reason for that.
No, I can take care
Yeah,
of
the
this guy.
devils
Don't
are
worry.
there to start fighting back the demons.
We are on
Spoilers,
its side.
Kevin.
We're on its side. We
Right.
also want to fight back the demons.
it's
No, we
also a
want the
devil.
glory.
This is actually this particular build and strategy is a warlock strategy. You can get Devil's Sight as a warlock, and half the class is like totally unbalanced because you spend the rest of the game with advantage as long as your darkness is up.
Right. Unless you're fighting devils.
Unless
you
you're
just give him
fighting
Devil's
devils,
Sight.
and then you're screwed. But yeah, he's also screwed because his advantage loses. So, it's one of those things. As long as you got your darkness up, you should be okay for the challenge rating. But, I don't know.
Still being able to take the hide as a bonus action is really great, but this should definitely be played as an ambush character. You could throw multiple at your group as well, which makes them, just that's it. You can throw more at them.
Right.
I don't have much else to say beyond just this one should not be limited to a single enemy at a time.
Right.
It's more if you're getting ambushed and now the entire battlefield is just covered in darkness and you don't know even how many potentially you're fighting. Because they could be hiding and jumping in and out. In the infamous fight that we had against a green dragon that popped in and out of a swamp.
Black dragon.
It was a
Yeah,
black
those are
dragon.
black dragons.
Okay, yeah. So it was, popped out in and out of a swamp. There was 2 dragons. We thought there was only 1. This is a good time to use that and not completely screw over your party in a rude way. But I think that could be really fun. One, trying to figure out how many are there, trying to find ways to actually keep track of them as they're hiding. If you were a Druid, Circle of the Shepherd, to touch on our Druid Bard meeting here, you could use that unicorn sight or that unicorn circle to keep track of anything that is hiding, I believe.
Yeah.
I think you get advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But I'll say this one thing: that particular fight is very frustrating when the enemy is particularly deadly.
Yes.
This enemy is not.
Right.
So
Right.
you
It's
don't have
more
to
about,
worry that
it's
much.
about your party figuring out how to deal with it in the course of, the 5 rounds that it gets to just lay into you. And you're right, it's not that much damage. 1d6, it makes 2 scimitar attacks, so we'll say 2d6 plus 6. And then it's bite attack, which is pretty damaging, 1d10 plus 3, and then 2d8 acid damage.
Right.
It stacks up, it does. But again, we're talking about a challenge rating 7. So if you're fighting this thing, if you're fighting one of them, you're going to be around level 5 or so, and that's pretty good. You kind of lose the action economy to an extent if you just can't find it.
Right.
As we found out from that poltergeist fight, where if there's one enemy that you just can't attack, that's it. I mean, you're spending most of your time just trying to figure out where this thing is. So I think that can definitely be used well.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the blue Abishai.
All right, blue Abishai is the challenge rating 17 one that your party should not be facing at level 7. Full spellcaster, which is... It's scary. It's got a lot of really, really crazy spells.
Yeah.
Starting off with its 6th level spell, Chain Lightning, which is I might be a little bit less amazing against your party versus your party using it against a horde of enemies. Do you guys know Chain Lightning?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Yes.
So Chain Lightning, you send out 3 lightning bolts, and whether or not they hit or miss, they can then go to another person. So you're getting 6 attacks basically. All of them have to be dex saving throws, and they do like 6d10 or something, or maybe it's 10d6. Either way, it's a ton of damage. So that's just one of those things that, like, starting off a fight with 10d6 damage on every single person, halved if they succeed, is astronomical. You definitely need to be a higher challenge rating. But this one is going to be spell focused through and through.
Its attacks are almost identical, this time with a quarterstaff,
Right.
of our previous guy. And this guy's 10 challenge ratings higher. He's not that much more powerful. His bite's a little bit
It does
a little bit
2d10
more.
instead of 1, but only +2 instead of +3. And
You're
then
going to want to keep this guy in the back.
14
46 lightning damage. But you're saying, like, if you're doing like an Abishai fight,
Yeah.
because that'd be pretty crazy. Combining all of these together is really where you get into
I think
it.
I was going to do the math, and I was like, this is ridiculously high.
Right. I mean, it does get magical resistance, which
Yeah, the
is
resistance is
always
bad.
great.
I think all of them get that.
Do they?
No,
Okay.
Yeah,
not
the
the
black hasn't. Yeah.
It does have...
yeah.
It's a 13th level spellcaster, so even if you're using its cantrips, which the only damage cantrip it has is Shocking Grasp, I mean, it makes it very scary to get up close as a melee fighter for something to do. I think it's 3d8 shocking grasp, and you lose your reaction, so it can just bolt out of there.
Right. And it's DC 20 spell save plus 12 to hit, which is crazy high.
Oof, I love it. I mean, it's got a 22 int, which is
right.
Just
then there's
great.
like stuff like darkness as well. So
which it's got Devil Sight.
Yeah. Mirror Image, which can make it really hard to hit, and Misty Step all at second level. The spell Magic, which could be very annoying. Fear. Lightning Bolt does a decent amount of damage.
Right. Greater invisibility. That's actually the main one that I think, because greater invisibility allows you to cast spells and do everything, but not become visible after you do it.
Yeah.
Regular invisibility, you're limited to one action that's really going to be worthwhile. But greater invisibility, I mean, this thing, as you said, can just sit in the back and just cast lightning bolts and
Ice Storm,
and Cone of Cold, and all of these things that are just like
Wall of Force. Yeah.
Right. You're like, I don't want to fight that. Stop it.
Ice Storm and then Wall of Force over and keep everyone in there. And
it can also fly, so it can do all of that.
Everybody can fly
in
these guys.
Right. But like, it can turn invisible, fly 50 feet up, and then just completely decimate a party. So, I mean, you're saying, it should be in the back. So that's implying other Abishai or maybe other just minions of any sort. But I think this thing can hold its own by itself.
Yeah.
Well, if it gets into the fray, it's going to have some problems.
Yeah.
It's got a high AC, it's got a lot of health, but a level 17 party is still going to nuke it very quickly.
Right.
And if it's got any
195
concentration up, it's going to be hovering real fast.
Unless it's flying, in which case your paladin can't go up there and smite unless
you can fly.
Unless it can fly, which... Yeah, okay, I'm playing an Osimir right now, which can fly, but most of the time your paladins can't just sprout wings.
No.
Man,
well,
that's
by
useful.
the time you find some challenge,
Somebody has
17,
fly.
someone has to fly.
Yeah.
So,
If
or
you
magic item, or
Right, there are ways around it, but I mean, again, with that greater invisibility, you'll basically have disadvantage on it the entire time. The only thing that's really limiting is greater invisibility is concentration.
Right.
So just like when you're playing a normal spellcaster, your main limitation is going to be what can it cast without concentrating. And it doesn't have a lot of stuff that forces you to concentrate besides the two big ones, greater invisibility and Ice Storm.
Ice Storm is not concentration.
No, really.
What?
Yeah.
I heard you, but what? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wall of Force
For a fourth level spell, the damage is not insane, so that makes sense, I think.
But it does last multiple rounds, correct? Yeah, it turns into difficult terrain.
No.
Oh, it's just one turn.
Yeah.
Okay, well, never mind. That's not nearly as bad. Does it have immunity to
I
cold
guess we didn't
damage?
know what that was.
No, it's not a cold dragon. It's got immunity to lightning.
It
damage.
does.
It's got
white
resistance
one
to
has.
cold
Yeah.
damage. Everything in the Nine Hells is resistant to cold damage.
Okay, so it's going to be, hard pressed to cast Ice Storm on itself, but it's still, that's a good one. So it really doesn't have much to concentrate on.
Actually, I was mistaken on what Ice Storm is. It's actually not that good.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's
If
just
you're an ice wizard.
Yeah, 2d8 bludgeoning, 46 cold damage once for a fourth level spell.
Yeah, that doesn't feel great at all.
No.
And then it turns it into difficult terrain until the end of your next turn.
Right. Yeah, it's a dex save. It's like 20-foot radius. It's kind of like a weaker fireball, but it's cold and bludgeoning. So I guess.
But it's fourth level.
Yeah.
And then it turns it into difficult terrain. I guess it might be a good way to start a fight. To just, make it so that it's hard for things to get near you. But beyond that, I think you're right. Ice Storm's not that great. Cone of Cold, though, does a lot of damage,
Yes.
which is good.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Cone of Cold is 8d8 cold damage. And does it do anything else? Just if a creature's killed by this, it becomes a frozen statue.
Yeah.
It says
And
until
it's a cone.
until it thaws. How do you thaw somebody mid-combat? Just cast a fire spell on them? If I cast...
No,
Firebolt?
it's just saying, like, if someone dies from that, you're not going to come back a century later and they're still a frozen statue. It's just...
I'm saying just directly in combat. If my PC goes down and is now a frozen statue,
Oh, you
how
want to
can
bring
somebody
them back.
Right? If somebody casts Revivify on me, am I actually coming back? Am I still frozen into an ice block?
That's a good question.
I'd probably say
Don't know.
you're an ice block for a
Yeah.
little bit. You gotta waste a action to maybe cast a fire spell
Or
and
strength saving or strength check to break out of your ice shell. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've never been completely frozen.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not good. I hear.
I've seen cartoons of it. That's my expertise.
I really like that it has Dispel Magic, though. It doesn't have Counterspell, which a lot of spellcasters have, and is rough. But Dispel Magic's great for if you're trying to use any AoE thing, or if you just cast Hold Monster on it, then boom, you've got Dispel Magic. Get rid of that crap. Combined with its magical resistance, you're gonna have a hard time locking this thing down.
Yeah, it's an interestingly pure caster for this.
Yeah.
I think all these they're great archetypes. You've got what we just previously covered, kind of like your pseudo rogue. Now we've got our pseudo caster. And, the flavor text is pretty simple. The blue guys they're seekers of forgotten lore, trying to find information and secrets for their master Tiamat. Previous guys were assassins,
Right. Everybody has their own niche. It's nice. It makes it so that you can build maybe not an entire camp. Well, yeah, you can kind of build a campaign around them being mini bosses or
dragons, Wrath of Dragons or whatever.
Yeah, we'll basically do Horde of the Dragon Queen, but not crappy, and use a lot of Abishai as the the things just being sent at you every
Mini
once
bosses.
in a while. The mini bosses, right? Where it all ends in some giant Abishai fight. Whew. Oof. It sounds terrifying.
Right. Green Abishai.
Green Abishai. All right, so we did kind of skip over the flavor before with those ones. These ones are Tiamat's diplomats, which is interesting because though they are challenge rating 15, it seems like their main purpose is less about fighting and more about negotiating throughout the 9 hells. You're more than welcome to throw them at your party. I think they're a little bit drab compared to the 17 challenge rating blue Abishai.
Right.
They've got some mediocre spellcasting. They're good spells, don't get me wrong. Confusion, Dominate Person, Mass Suggestion, not so much. That's not really a combat one. Fear 3 times a day. None of those are really the important part. It follows the exact same formula as the other ones. It's got multi-attack, where it can attack with its longsword twice now, which is only doing 1d8 plus 1 slashing. And, it can be 1d10 if it's two-handing it. And its claws, it doesn't even get a bite. Its claws do 2d8 piercing, and on a constitution saving throw, the person hit takes 2d10 poison damage and becomes poisoned for a minute. But it can repeat that saving throw at the end of each of its turns to end the poisoned effect. I mean, what's making this thing challenge rating 15?
Health, armor, theoretically the spells, but if you look at, the blue from just what we were talking about, this does not exactly justify its own challenge rating.
No.
I think these spells, especially Dominate Person, Mass Suggestion, stuff like that, can screw things up, confusion as well.
Right.
But one thing to keep in mind with spellcasting enemies is you see this gigantic list of spells, and any combat you ever fought with them, you quickly understand this. They're not going to burn through all of these. This is like 6 parties worth of spells.
Right.
So you only get a couple, maybe 3, 4, 5 at most. So this guy, I don't know, he's probably going to have to... I think he would struggle. I think any party with an action economy on their side, he's got no chance.
No, I totally agree.
So
he doesn't have the escape ability or just the spell versatility.
And even if he escapes, he's got nothing to do.
Right. He's just further away now.
Yeah,
he needs to be up close to do damage, which is his downfall.
His damage is just too damn low.
No.
He has no damage spells.
Nope.
Yeah.
So 2 attacks, 1 with its claw, 1 with its longsword, or it casts 1 spell and makes a claw attack. That's kind of interesting. So it can cast a spell and use its use an attack with its claw.
The poison condition is very bad.
Disadvantage on everything, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, because this guy still has no damage behind it.
Right. Right. And it's a free thing to try and end it every turn. And I mean, the DC is not that high. DC 16 con save. I mean, you're probably going to get rid of that pretty quick here. Or, I think 5 lay on hands from a paladin gets rid of the poison condition.
Yeah. Lesser restoration does it too.
A lesser restoration. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy to get rid of poison, to be honest. But you're right. It's very detrimental to leave it up, but you just wouldn't.
You got alter self and major image at will, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think this is a combat one. I think this is in here for the sake of flavor. This is the Abishai that's going around and manipulating things and working with the powers that be,
right?
Whatnot. It's maybe eventually you would have a fight against it, and that's not the big epic fight. It's like you're finally killing it, so it stops messing with everything.
Right.
And it's...
I think it'd be more fun to treat this one as you said, it could be a big fight, but it would be like not a huge deal. It's more figuring out that this thing is an Abishai, because with Alter Self, it can just maintain a human form or something else for a good amount of time here. But I think
essentially indefinitely.
Yeah, I think a level 10 party could probably take this thing out without too much issue.
And Alter Self does not. You're thinking of the Sky Self. Alter Self is where you could get guilds and web feats or...
Is that all you can do with it?
Oh, wait, change appearance.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, okay, change appearance. Sticking with that.
Yeah.
So it can infiltrate. It is purely something to figure out is a problem, but I think it's going to pose a lot more of a threat as a charismatic string puller than a monster that you fight.
Right.
3 detect thoughts a
who would
day.
really
charm person.
like this guy on the side?
What's that?
The Nagpa.
The
Yeah,
Nagpa.
really,
I could
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would the Nagpa work with devils?
Ooh.
The Nagpa will work with whatever it needs to work with.
But will devils work with the Nagpa?
Of course, if their goals are aligned, devils are reasonable. That's what I love about
These are interesting devils, though, because they really do have a hard leaning towards the will of Tiamat. So
Right.
if you're doing something Tiamat doesn't like, but I can't see Tiamat getting all that upset about the Nagpa's plan to topple the civilization. That seems kind of her.
What if the
wheelhouse.
Nagpa's plan is to raise Tiamat to
Ooh.
topple all civilization?
Guys, maybe the Nagpa ruined those campaigns. It was supposed to be a fun campaign that everyone could enjoy, but the Nagpa undermined it and ruined it.
Wow, there's a Nagpa that's actually running Wizards of the Coast.
Hey man, it could happen.
Oh man, Nagpa was great. I don't remember what episode that was, but everyone should go listen to that one.
It was around Thanksgiving.
It was. Yeah, Nagpa's 10 out of 10. And everyone should have it running every one of their campaigns.
And we've gone on to mention it like at least every 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Work the Nagpa back in.
All right, on to the red.
Red. This one's a beast.
This one, your party does not want to fight. They do not. That's it. Challenge rating 19. This thing is just pure leadership and raw power is how it's described. So one of their main crazy features beyond just all the damage they can do, which we'll get to, is the fact that they can literally turn a dragon into a pawn for a limited amount of time, but they can just have a dragon fighting with them.
Even a metallic one. Like a lawful good gold dragon could be turned by this thing.
So its multi-attack is a little bit scary. Can use its frightful presence. It also makes 3 attacks, 1 Morningstar, 1 Claw, and 1 Bite. The Morningstar isn't too impressive besides its plus 12 to hit. It's 1d8 plus 6 piercing. Its Claw, 2d10 plus 6 slashing. And then its Bite does 5d10 plus 6 and then 7d10 fire. So I don't even know why the Morningstar's in there. I think it's just more for flavor than anything.
Right.
But it just does so much in one turn that it deserves its challenge rating 19. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and 22 armor class, 255 hit points.
Yeah.
Plus 12 strength saving throws, plus 10 con, plus 8 wisdom.
It's got its frightful presence. This is where the challenge rating is starting to butt up against your actual dragons, very much so. And it even overpass a lot of them.
For sure.
It's starting to justify it. Frightful presence is a dragon thing, you know. This is where it really comes back to it.
Yeah, there's the magic resistance. There's like all these things too.
Right. And this thing
magical.
is also made to fight with other devils. I'll say Abishai if you want to throw in some weaker ones. But we've got the Incite Fanaticism. Mm-hmm. The Abishai chooses up to 4 of its allies within 60 feet of it that can see. For 1 minute, each of those allies makes attack rolls with advantage and can't be frightened. And I'm sorry, it is actually the allies need to see the Abishai, not the other way around. Yeah. But giving advantage to every single one of your minions, not everyone, 4 minions.
Yeah. And it's just an action.
Yeah.
That's it. There's not casting a spell. There's no limit on it. If there are 8 minions, they could do this twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Pick 4 different ones, and then for a minute, there's no concentration.
Right.
It doesn't say it ends when they're incapacitated. It just...
And a lot of times the main strategy for D&D is starting by taking out minions just to get rid of that action economy and start turning it in your favor.
Right.
So this thing is probably going to use that to its advantage and just sit back and rally all of its minions, have it blow through you, whittle you down, and then you're not going to fight some green Abishai, or it's like, okay, we got to it. Now just stay right there while we beat the crap out of you. This thing is going to pack a punch. That 7d10 on its bite for fire damage is just, whew, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even need to fight you. It's just going to throw a dragon at you.
Right.
That's the thing that we're going up against, where it's like, this sounds pretty difficult. Hey, you have to do what I say now, so go fight them.
Yeah, I mean, the specifics of that, the dragon has to be within 120 feet of it, and it tries to charm it with a DC 18 charisma saving throw. A chromatic dragon has disadvantage on it. Though I would think most chromatic dragons would be likely to fight with it anyways.
Do you think?
But
Yes, they are.
they're evil. I mean,
They are
Right.
beholden to Tiamat
Yeah.
beyond anything else.
Okay.
yeah.
They might ignore this guy, but this is kind of like a trump card. Like, yeah, you kind of have to do what I say.
Okay. Yeah.
Like this guy could kick most of the chromatic dragon's ass, like below ancient.
Yeah, I would say
No one's
most
gonna beat him.
adult dragons and younger are below challenge rating 20, I think.
Yeah,
Right. And also, once it feels threatened, it just, uses the power of the Dragon Queen and shuts the dragon down for, it says it can repeat the save on any damage from the Abishai or its allies.
Right.
Oh, no, it just ends outright. But that's also just an action. It's not a thing that's limited by, or it doesn't succeed on it and now it's immune to it for 24 hours.
For 1 hour.
Oh, for 1 hour.
1
Okay.
hour.
Yeah, it
They're
is.
all kind of
Yeah.
slaves to these guys.
All right.
But again, so if it enslaves a dragon, it's
It
just
doesn't
not
need to
going to
fight
attack it.
You're right. You're
It just won't attack it.
right. It's like, hey, go away.
Yeah.
So this one's fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Very scary.
But unlike the green one, it doesn't have the condition immunity to poison. Yes, it does. It's also immune to poison. Jeez,
Everyone's immune to poison and fire
I'm
in
just-
the Nine Hells.
I'm just really upset about that green one.
The green one, yeah, he kind of sucks, but he had good flavor.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the red?
No.
All right, on to the white. We're speed running these ones. It's
Last
fun.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next and last is the white Abishai. So these are more of the grunts of the army, and probably what are going to be hanging around that red Abishai. They're standard in the sense of they're multi-attack, 2 with its longsword, 1 with its claw, and if it wants to use its bite, that's all it can do, which is a pretty big bummer. Its longsword can be, once again, 2-handed, 1d10 plus 3. Claw is just 1d10 plus 3 as well. Its bite does 1d4 plus 3 and then 1d6 cold damage. These don't even feel like challenge rating 6 yet. They can reckless attack, which is good or bad, depending on how you want to deal with it.
It's identical to the barbarians. They will give themselves advantage in all attack rolls for a turn. All attacks on them have advantage.
Yep. It does get something that is vicious reprisal.
And that gets you your bites.
Yeah. In response to taking damage, the Abishai makes a bite against a random creature within 5 feet of it. If no creature is within reach, the Abishai moves up to half its speed toward an enemy it can see without provoking opportunity attacks. So that's good. It gets an attack outside of its turn order if it takes any damage. So that's pretty good. It says it moves up to half its movement speed, which if you're flying could be 20 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. But
Yeah, at a challenge rating 6, that seems a little weak.
yeah, it feels like a bit of a stretch.
Or
think-
strong for these things, yeah.
I think one thing to keep in mind, though, is the immunities and the resistances can make these fights very horrifying for a
Yeah.
level 5 party that does not have the kit to deal with it.
Right.
You know, if none of your martial guys have silvered weapons or magic weapons, this is very bad.
True.
I think if they're equipped for this fight, which they should be, as a DM, you should be sending these kind of things against a party that's semi-ready for them. Their challenge rating is a little bit too high.
So I'll argue that they need to be ready for it. I think this is something that if you were planning a campaign around Tiamat and the Abishai, this would be really great to send to a village and totally decimate a village. If you're level 4 or 5 and unprepared for this thing, it can be a rough fight. Because again, you might not have magical weapons, but it's nice because as you level up and come and see these things again and you're prepared to fight them, it's going to be real easy. The only thing I would hesitate towards is if you are telling your characters, your PCs, hey, I want to do a campaign against Tiamat. I think it would be kind of mean not to tell them beforehand that, hey, everything that you fight is going to be immune to cold, to fire, to poison. Maybe not everything, but a lot of the times these main fights, if you were to do like a Phoenix sorcerer and you came in and tried to fight these, you'd be like, what the hell? And you'd probably just die.
It's just
make a new
you
character.
just need a warning there. It's like,
Right.
hey, you want to roll a Phoenix sorcerer? Let's do that a different campaign because it's going to be mostly devils from here on out.
Right. So I mean, there's that. But overall, these make really great cannon fodder. I don't know if I fully agree with their challenge rating. I feel like once you get magical weapons and know how to fight these things, they're going to feel a lot lower. But, challenge rating's an abstract concept and whatnot.
No,
minus there's crazy math
challenge
behind it.
Cliff. There's definitely a challenge cliff here where it goes from totally earning its challenge rating to not at all.
Right.
I think once you're level 7 or 8 with a party of people with magic weapons, you could probably throw 6 or 7 of these things.
Yeah. I was thinking with like you guys just level 8 and we spent a lot of time on level 7. If I threw one of these at you, you would decimate it in a round.
It would not be a medium encounter.
No, it's armor class 15, hit points of 68.
Nope. I would actually do that in one turn.
Yeah.
With smite against devils being additional D8.
Oh, they're fiends, aren't they?
Yeah, they're fiends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, that's the joy of being a paladin, right? But no, challenge rating 6, doesn't fit very well. But again, if you had the red Abishai sitting back and giving them all advantage on every single one of their attacks,
Right.
and I guess...
Except for, but you were not going to throw that at your level 7.
You can,
party.
though. You
can.
throw it in the bag and just
Yeah.
like, get it to it, white guys.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
it's
once
more about
they
sending
get torn
them...
up, they just leaves.
Oh, okay.
It's more about sending them and just sending a message,
Right.
really.
Not sending a message.
So it just sits back and does its...
All right, why would the red Abishai then go to send that message?
It's
Why
ju-
wouldn't they think, oh, okay, these guys are actually kind of decent. They ripped apart a couple of my comrades here. Let me go fuck them up. Which it can absolutely do, and it probably knows it could do, because it's going to watch, like, all right, they struggled a little bit against these guys, and I know I am 10 times more powerful than them.
Plot armor.
Yeah, I hate that answer.
Yeah, I know.
I can't think of really any good reason they would want to, like, keep
The only
them
thing I
alive.
can
It's like,
think of-
There are
let that be a warning
situations-
to you.
there
It's like,
are-
they're devils.
There
They're just
are, of
gonna go kill
course,
'em.
some situations like, say, a powerful NPC swoops in and the thing goes, oh, this isn't the right time to have this fight, and goes away. But that's limited. That trope only works so many times to bring in the powerful NPC to be like, get back.
Draconic arrogance, man.
Then it's just going to stay and die.
No, man. It's
What do you
like,
mean?
oh, you're not worth my time. I'm out of here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of a thing with dragons. But again, in this scenario where
I
you
don't
rip
think it should
through,
be.
where you where you rip through like 6 of them, and then it's just like, well, I could easily take you on, but not today.
All right, let's go back to our favorite campaign. Do you remember the opening of the Horde of the Dragon Queen?
Yeah.
greenest?
Greenest.
Do you remember what we had to fight?
Yes, it was
Blue
a
dragon.
It was a
An
dragon-
adult blue dragon.
Oh, right. You're right.
That's like challenge rating 18. We were level 1.
You hid in a barrel.
I hid in a barrel, which was a smart idea.
Yeah. In retrospect, I think I understand your reasoning.
So there is, I don't know where Wizards is going with dragons overall, and it's kind of hard to make a call what a dragon would do after playing that campaign. Because you had to do like 18 damage to it, and then it left.
it was more than 18, but it was not
wasn't much.
It was
Yeah.
not much. But like again, why? Why didn't it just kill
I
everything?
don't know.
It had no reasoning.
That's official material, man.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Like, yeah, there was no way. I mean, there was like reinforcements and people firing stuff at it, but there was no way the dragon would lose.
Right.
No.
That was dumb. And I remember I always saw like posts on D&D subreddits and things like that where people were like, so my party fought the adult blue dragon and they killed it. What do I do now? And it's like, you messed up. Sorry, find a new campaign, because if you let them kill an adult blue dragon, you were not paying attention. You were asleep at the wheel, damn it.
Yeah, I guess the only argument for it leaving is like it was. I think it was a brain that was supposed to be like it was forced into this in really not having it, and it met this tiniest bit of resistance, and then it just left.
That's so
but-
cringy.
Yeah.
I hate
I feel like it would be more annoyed and be like, all right, fine. I guess I need to try. Bah.
Right, and like what sort of thing was this adult blue dragon dealing with where it acquiesced to the pressure to go attack this town? But then it got hit for the tiniest bit of damage. It's like, well, that's justification to leave. And then whoever made him do it is like, yeah, that's fair. Your scales got a little shift. It's like, no, go back.
Right?
What you had a job.
So yeah, I think individually a lot of these are pretty lackluster, but the Abishai would be an absolutely amazing fight to fight a lot of them, or even just one of each. It gets pretty rough. Where you've got the red one just up in
red and the blue.
Yeah, the red and the blue together. Oh my god, you got to be level 20 to deal with that, and that's a fun fight as a level 20, or just awful.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It'll still be tough.
Yeah, it'd be very tough.
Challenge rating 17, challenge rating 19. Yeah,
as the black Abishai is just making magical darkness everywhere.
Yeah,
and you're like,
he doesn't even need to try and attack.
Right.
Just poof, poof.
Yeah, a lot of these things, like, they really do start being additional scary parts. Like, the green Abishai sucks, but if he's, like, sitting in the back charming you while the blue and the red one ruin your day,
right.
that's going to suck. He's going to rob you of a turn, and you can't afford that if there's a red one and a blue one coming at you.
So, what do you think? Does this get added to the multi-class arena?
Oh, like all 5 of them at once?
Maybe not all 5.
An Abishai buffet?
Yeah, an Abishai buffet, basically. Some concoction of them.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll add it to the list.
Yeah. So in an actual campaign, though, these things definitely... They're not the type of thing just like thrown as a random encounter. The campaign needs to be built around it.
Yes, I totally agree. Unless you're just like, I don't know, get in the way of Tiamat's will on like a random encounter.
The only thing I could see is like they're doing something unrelated to the campaign and you run into them and it's like, oh, well, shit, we should probably kill them.
Yeah.
And so you have the fight. But then I feel like that a good campaign is going to open that up to more plot.
Right.
Because it's like, right, they're enacting Tiamat's will in the material plane. That's kind of a big deal, guys.
Right. Hey, maybe we should talk about this. Like, no, we have to go find the farmer's daughter.
You run into him. You like Durgans? Durgans? Yeah, Durgans. You like Durgans? Yeah, of course I like Durgans. There, now your party got out of it.
Durgans, what?
Dragons.
Oh, is that like
You like
snatch
dags?
straw? Okay, yeah.
You can just do it like that.
Yeah.
If your party says, no, we don't like dragons, now they have to fight, a red Abishai.
I missed the enemy of dragons guy.
That was a cool guy. Wasted on that campaign. It's the only campaign he would have ever fit in.
I talked to somebody recently who finished that entire campaign, and I was like, how'd you deal with the end? And he's like, oh, I threw that out. And I was like, oh, yeah, there you go. That's how you work it. Fuck that campaign.
I think this should be our new project, is rewriting the entire Tyranny of Dragons.
Literally every pre-written Wizards of the Coast campaign we need to rewrite. They all end terribly.
I like Out of the Abyss. We'll see.
I like Out of the Abyss, but all of the parts we've loved were made up by Kevin.
Spoilers, dude.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but a lot of it. And I don't know how it's going to end, and I don't know what your plan is, of course, but I really suggest, just based off my history with reading the end of Wizards of the Coast campaigns, read through it, make sure it doesn't suck,
right,
and just prepare for that, because it might suck.
In defense of Wizards of the Coast with the pre-written campaigns, I think they are specifically written for a loose framework.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they're going to be able to write something that's going to fit for the majority of parties out there in tables.
Totally
so it's is supposed to be on the DM to tweak it for what the party wants, what the table wants.
No, I agree with that, and I can give them that slack.
Yeah, because I definitely have changed a whole bunch of stuff in Out of the Abyss, but it's still kind of building off that framework.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't have just came up with this stuff just like organically.
Right. So far, the biggest issue from what you've said with Out of the Abyss is the fact that the challenge ratings are way off. And I have to wonder, is that because of us?
Are we too good?
Are we good at combat? Are we good at this, guys? We say having a podcast around, min-maxing.
No, it's not a min-max.
I know. But the point is, we probably spend more time than the average D&D player thinking about the best way to tackle problems and combat specific problems. So I don't know anymore. I have lost all touch with reality. D&D 5e probably sucks. You guys want to play Pathfinder? They just released version 2. I don't know if that would make things harder. Doesn't matter.
Okay. We don't know how to play it.
So. No. All right. I think that wraps it up with the Abishai. It's cool. It's super cool.
Yeah.
I really like these things.
Fix your dragon campaigns with
Fix your
Abishai.
dragon campaigns. And Storm King's Thunder. Fix that too.
Storm King's
Just
Thunder,
throw
but it's
Abishai in
just
there, too.
Abishai instead of Giant.
I mean, dragons were involved in that.
Loosely.
Loosely.
Poorly related. Doesn't matter. All right. That does it.
Cool.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, I wanted to say it. I said it.
Next time on Monsters and Multiclass.
Join us next week as we discuss the Paladin Sorcerer and the Shadar Kai.